will be vetted by that executive which will have been elected by the local people themselves. Yeah. And then we expect better transparency and better management of the resources which we send. And the youth themselves will be part and parcel of this process, rather than going to the district or the sub-county to meet the big officials in neckties. They will be managing the program themselves at the local level.
I could give an example under the parish model, where we're cutting out that bureaucracy and actually saving on the resources. The youth know, under the Youth Livelihood Fund, okay, you want to procure inputs, let's say poultry or coffee. So it is done by the district. And there is a contracts committee which does that. And then you, the beneficiary, you will see seedlings, you will see the chicks, you will see the piglets. But the complaint has been, in most cases, the price, the cost of these inputs is overinflated because of the system of contracting.
Too many people.
Yeah, too many people, and also, you know, you're looking for the best bidder, highest price and lowest price and things like that. Under the parish model, we are cutting that out. And we're saying, if you apply to your circle that you're going to do poultry, and they have given you 1 million shillings, you're not going to wait for the sub-county chief or the CDO to bring the birds to you. No. The role of the local government, the role of the district, is to certify the suppliers of those inputs so that you get quality. But it is you to decide, these birds, I'm going to buy them from the other supplier. And you can go and negotiate. So you're cutting out a bureaucracy which you used to, one, delay the process, but also reduce on the amount you're getting as a beneficiary. So I think Chris is right. Yeah. This money will come from Bank of Uganda, go straight to the SACCO. It will not go through the chief administrative officer and the sub-county chief before it reaches the parish, no. And when it is in the SACCO, I, a member of this parish, a poor person categorized as living in subsistence, but dynamic. I want to do something. I want to change my lifestyle.
And there's a word that you're using in there that I think is very important.
Yeah.
And if you do have any questions on Twitter, please do ask them. Tag me at Benwine Tag Ministry. Use our hashtag Ugandan, because the whole idea is here to try and make sure we can make our country better for everyone and raise everyone to the same level. There's a...
So I was describing that process.
Yeah.
You, the person who wants to benefit, you belong to a certain parish. You are not going outside your parish. And the parish knows that this Raphael Majezi is living in subsistence, but is trustworthy, is able to apply and put the funds to good use. So you apply to the SACCO vet you, they give you the money, and you go to the supplier, you buy your inputs. So for me, this kind of system is what we've been lacking. And that's the niche of the parish model, to target the beneficiary and reach him without these unnecessary bureaucracies.
Yeah. Honorable Barimunsi, you growing up a few decades ago, the sense of community was very important, that everything that you did, like Honorable Jesse is saying, it was difficult to hide. If you were a thief on the village,
they know you.
It was a bit difficult to hide. And this in a way helps a bit with that, because you're going down to the place where if Majezi is a thief, and he's coming, which you're not, and you're coming to ask for money, there are people in the community who instantly know there are question marks around this person.
Absolutely.
And it helps a lot with being able to implement this.
Yeah. Yes, that's the concept of the parish development model. Because in the past, people would apply from a village, a community, to the district, and the district people do not even know you, because the district is very big, the sub-county is very big. Now, under this arrangement, there will be an executive committee at a parish level. A parish has a few villages. So basically, you almost know everybody in the community. And we are now mobilizing the communities, the parishes, for people, particularly those in subsistence livelihood, to form a circle and be part of that parish circle. And the circle will be the vehicle through which these resources will be channeled to the communities. Now, the local people in the parish are represented on that executive. And therefore, when you submit your proposal, I want to do poultry, I want to do fish farming, I want to grow coffee or tea or tomatoes, I want to do business in the goat rearing and so forth, they are able to vet and say, oh, this Christopher Yumunsi, yes, he's a serious person, he has been trying this effort, what he lacks is capital, and he's trustworthy if we give him this money. And by the way, this money is a loan, is a revolving fund. It is not a casino. It's not that the NRM government is just rewarding. Yes, it is rewarding you, but the money is a revolving fund. So you borrow from this circle, and then you do the enterprise you want to engage in, and then you will pay back, but at a very low interest rate.
Yeah. 5% per annum, if I'm not mistaken, from 5 to 7, which is still much lower than anything on the market.
Yeah, we are borrowing money from commercial banks at 23%. These commercial banks.
Is that a personal story? You sound like you're in a bit of pain with that. Have you been disturbed by a bank like many of us?
Oh, definitely. So what I'm saying, the commercial banks, when we borrow money from there, the interest rates are above 20%.
25, 28.
That is in a commercial bank.
Yes, but
we're talking of a village level.
Yes.
They are kafunas. What percentage do they charge?
That's bad.
Oh, it's
10% per month.
It's more than 10% per month. I've heard of, my mom has had someone lend her money at about 35% per month.
Yes.
So here we're talking over 5 to 70%, much more affordable.
Per annum.
So per annum, yes. So this is an opportunity for every person to engage in a business and an enterprise which can lift you out of the bad conditions you are in into a better condition. Yeah. Because our belief as a government is that everybody can grow rich. Because God created us the same way, and sometimes at a local level, somebody has the ideas, somebody has the urge and desire to do something, but maybe he lacks the capital, what they call capital. He lacks access to credit. And the government, through this PDM, is providing that opportunity. That if you wanted to do some business or to engage in something profitable, now government can make you access some resources, and then you get started and you get that push. Yeah. And therefore, our appeal is to Ugandans, including our young people. You go in the countryside, in my constituency, you find young people there are energetic, but a number of them are in the trading centers, playing matatu or engaging in drinking at another hour. Now we are saying, no, let's all now go and engage in production. Yeah. If your challenge has been access to resources, access to funds, access to capital, which can help you start off, now government is bringing that resource. And therefore, our listeners and viewers shouldn't think this PDM is for us, the rich, or it's for those who are rich in the communities. No, it is intended to reach that person at the lowest level possible, to also get involved, so that you can earn income, you can have money in your pocket. And we think it is possible.
It has to be, because we need it to work. I'll come back to this point, but just to belabor what you just said, Honorable Majezi, PDM is not necessarily something new. Our society for centuries and centuries has worked like this in a by and large. So if I'm to get this correctly, the government is simply trying to go back to something that has always worked before, to put a bit of a modern touch to it and make it a bit more effective.
Ben, you're raising something which is important. Sometimes we forget that some of these programs have been there. It may not have been called PDM, but a development effort based at the parish, yes, has been there. And it's now that we are saying, but there is a parish chief. in a place we call it Moroka Chief. These have been there. But we now found we had about 5,600 vacancies out of 10,500. So that shows that maybe we had neglected this level of administration. But there was a parish administration. They were collecting revenue. They were doing their roads using Bulungi Bwansi, self-help. They were doing sanitation and hygiene. They were doing immunization and so on. They could even register deaths and births. We know that. So yes, it has been there. And I'm glad that we're saying now, let's go back to that concept of operating a government that is closest to the population. And Chris has used a very important word, revolving. We're giving you a revolving fund. And the question you asked earlier was, so if these things have been there, what is different now? What is new? In these other schemes, we would lend you money. You use it. You bring it. It comes back to us in government. And we weigh your success in terms of the repayment rate. How much have you repaid? The youth fund, the women fund, the what, the even Myoga. But that word is very important. The parish development model gives you a fund to revolve in your parish. It will not come back to government.
You're keeping money.
This is your money. It stays in the parish. The other funds, we give it to you, you pay it back, it comes to us. This is now your money. And every year we're putting another 100 million. And the following year, another 100 million. Now, it is a grant from us as government to your circle. But it is not a grant from the circle to you, Chris. Right. No. For you, it is a loan. You are borrowing it from your circle. And because it's a circle, you can even save your money with the circle. But you're borrowing it at an interest rate so low to cover inflation and a few administrative costs. Right. It's good that people understand this is not free money, as they have said. This is a loan. You're taking a loan from yourselves. The idea is maybe in the future we can build village banks, community-based banks, where people save, they borrow, they manage it. We had a debate recently, even in cabinet. Should this be managed by some government official to be the signatory and to determine who is a beneficiary? No. It is their money.
Because that brings back the bureaucracy you're trying to get rid of.
Because now you are bringing back another person who is supposed to be the supervisor. Right. Conflict of interest. Let the government people, the sub-county leaders, the councillors, the chiefs, remain supervisors, advisors. But here is a parish development opportunity for you to say, I'm a young person, I may not have gone to school, but I have 1 acre of land. Now, instead of planting 1 acre with cassava you will eat, you will not go to the market. But probably half an acre, if you put some piglets, it will make a difference. If you say just half an acre, let me have some vegetables there, especially those close to the towns. Right. It will give it. Now, the question they have always been asking, how do I do it? What facility is there for me to go and buy the seeds, buy the piglets, come and do that? How about the feeds? We're saying, we're giving 100 million at the parish. Let each one get at least 1 million. Actually, we're putting a cap at that, 1 million shillings, so that people do not think you can go to this small village circle and you get 10 million. No. Give me 1 million. I'm a young person. I have the brains. I have my hands. I'm ready to work. So I'm not even paying labor. I'm my own laborer. Right. I'm my own manager. I'm paying myself. I'm going to put this money in 2 cows of zero grazing. And the rest of the land, I'll plant some pasture. You will see the difference. Getting a 10 or 20 liters a day from a cow, and you have 2 cows, the difference will be enormous. So for me, I'm glad that, yes, you raise it. Is it starting new? No, it has been there. Right. But this is a little different because we're saying let the facility remain with the community.
Yeah.
Yes, one important point he has raised is that it's a revolving fund, meaning that if I get this money in the first round, Honorable Majors may not get. I'm just using an example, but for us, we shall not be getting that money as ministers. Now, it also becomes the Majesty's responsibility to make sure that they perform well.
Absolutely.
And then pay back.
Absolutely.
So this peer support is very
The
important.
accountability at peer level.
Yes. Because if one beneficiary fails to do what he's supposed to do with the money, then you may miss the chance of getting, because as I do my poultry or my goat rearing and I pay back, then the opportunity also comes for you to access the money. You also use it and somebody. So we want the members of the community of the parish to be each other's brother's keeper, to make sure that if one brother has borrowed the money, he pays back, so that you also get an opportunity and you pay back. At the end of the day, this money will reach to every person in this community.
Would there be an avenue to actually do that even before they get the money, in terms of vetting who gets the money? Because that becomes...
Yes, the circle will vet you.
Yes, the circle is going to have leadership of members drawn from the community. So when these applications come, this committee is supposed to vet, because it knows the people. But also, one other important component of this program, that we are going to invest in mindset change for people to believe that, yes, I can do something and liberate myself from the conditions I am in. There are those who think, my grandfather was poor, my father is poor, therefore I am also destined to be poor. No. You don't have to be poor because your parents were poor. God gave us the brains, gave us the energy. That's why we have two hands. And if we apply them, you can actually get out of the situation you are in and get better.
And because you will be given that little hand up to try and sort of nudge you in the right direction.
Because you go in a community, you find the people are in the same environment, but one person has prospered, is doing very well. Others have not. So the question is why? So if somebody has become prosperous in this very environment, it means even you can also make it and do better. But sometimes it is the capital which is lacking. It is the seed fund that is missing to enable you start off. And that's why government is now coming in with this grant and an environment which should help you. And we want to strengthen the extension support services so that the people are helped. What kind of enterprise can I engage in which is profitable? Like he was saying, if you have 1 acre of land, if you just plant it with the cassava now is a popular food these days. Cut us off the debates we've been having. Is cassava going to give you the profit margins you expect? Or you can actually do poultry and maybe piggery in that very piece of land, and you get much more than if you planted cassava or maize or so forth. So there will also be support from experts, our agriculture officers, extension staff, to help our people know what they can do in a particular area to make profit out of what they invest in.
Right. Just a reminder, in case you're just joining us, we're talking about the parish development model, and you can tweet us. This is a tweet chat, even though we are live on UBC TV as well, and you can just go to your Twitter handle and ask any questions that you might have in case they've not been dealt with, any questions that you think need to be answered. Tag us, and we'll be more than glad to put your questions to the Honourable Ministers in the next 5 minutes or so they can be able to deal with any questions that you might have. And speaking of, let's talk a little bit about the impact that this program can, might, should, must have. There's a quote from a gentleman called Howard Zinn. I think it was mentioned by Honorable Amongi recently, and I loved it. It's a variation on a quote that we all have in our local languages. The basic idea is 1 by 1 makes a bundle. In his particular instance, he says that small acts, when multiplied by millions, can literally transform an entire nation. I'll give you a very personal testimony from about maybe 9 or so years ago. I had the privilege and the honor of being responsible for generating the communication materials for the SAGE program when we were launching out these social grants. So my small little company had the privilege of doing the communication material for this program. So I got embedded a little bit in seeing what happened. I'll be very honest with you, Honorable Majesty, Honorable Rimusi. up until that point, I didn't really appreciate the value of 10,000 shillings. It's money that we spend on a cup of tea here in Kampala. It's the cars that we drive, you probably, with the fuel prices at the moment, you'll spend 35,000 shillings a day very easily. But seeing the difference that 10,000 shillings makes for a person who is living at that level humbled me a lot and changed the way I think about a lot of things, especially to do with poverty levels in this country. And I'd like both of you to speak to that, because a lot of the people who are following this discussion, especially on Twitter, honest truth is that we live in our own world. And I know that sometimes the president calls us elitists, and in some cases he turns out to be right, because we can't live in a bubble sometimes. So when you talk about 100 million shillings going to every parish and multiply that across all the parishes across this country, it actually can make a difference if we give it our backing as a population country.
Well, let's go into the figures. We have 8.5 million households, 8.5 million. We have 70,000, about 260 villages. And we have 10,594 parishes. Now, if you got that calculation, so about how many households are in a parish, just get 8.5 divided by 10,500, you get about 800. About 800 households per parish.
Right.
Now, if we are putting 100 million in the parish per year, let's look at what it means for 5 years. And I'm saying, give 1 million to a beneficiary, a household. They put it in whatever enterprise they think can help them. Could be piggery, it could be poultry, it could be vegetables, it could be anything. So in a year, you're able to support 100 households in one parish. So in 5 years, you're talking of 500 homesteads in one parish. And we're talking about the 100 million which is coming. We're not looking at the revolving concept of Chris. Right. That the 100 million of year one, by year 2, 3 is again coming back.
Right.
And then it has some little element of interest to cater for administration and so on. So it's building. Do you realize actually what this means? That in every parish, within the next 5 years, we should be able to assist or address 500 homesteads.
Per parish?
Per parish.
Right.
That is, now what are we targeting? We're targeting 39% of our households. Make it 40% of our households. 40 out of 100. If I've told you that we have 8.5, you're talking of only about 3 million. But you're looking at, in 5 years, 500 per household, per parish.
Per parish.
At a minimum, because it's revolving.
Correct.
This is great. This is massive.
Right.
The only challenge will come through leakages. And it's good that we address it from the beginning. And it's good that the people of Uganda know that this is your money. Don't look at it as now, this is Museveni's money, it will go. No, it is yours. The parish can actually move, or it can actually fail. And you'll see them.
It's up to you. The power is now literally in your hands.
We'll see these parishes based on the level of leadership, based on the amount of conceptualization, mindset change, cooperation within the parish, the enterprise groups, because it's not something we've talked about yet, that an enterprise is banana planting and coffee, enterprise called zero grazing. Right. So the 10 or 20 of you or 30 of you doing bananas, that's an enterprise group. You meet together, you select your leaders as a group, 3 of you. They go and meet with the 3 from coffee, the 3 from tea, the 3 from where, and those 3 are the ones who sit and select leaders of the circle. Right. Now, this enterprise group keeps checking on you because they want to benefit as well. Now, we're targeting the 40%, but my estimation is we could, if we become serious, hit this percentage within the next 3 years. Right. If we become serious in terms of saying, this is for us, this is for the youth, this is for the women. The men, we are also there, because somewhere between the youth 30, 35, and the elderly also have 10%, 60 years. There is a group in between there. We've given them 20%. So everybody is there. The impact could be very big. And don't look at, they're giving me 1 million. Put it in coffee. A plantlet, a seedling of coffee is maybe about, is it 200, 300? Buy 100 or 200 of them. You are not yet even hitting 200,000. No. The rest, you may need some fertilizers, you may need to do some irrigation during the dry season. Give this young person 2 years, you'll find a different person altogether.
And like we said, you are your own labor, so you really, if you work hard
you are neighbor, you are your labor, you are your manager. So I think really the president has shot it right, very much right.
You know, the Christians, I'm sure, know the story of the talents in the Bible.
The parable of the talents.
The parable of the talents, which was narrated by Jesus, where people were given different talents. Some decided to multiply them, others decided to keep them without multiplication. I think the major question our people should ask themselves at the parish level is that, what kind of parish do we need? What quality of life do we need to see in our parish? And like we have asked, 10,000 shillings, if you gave it to an individual, depending on how somebody uses that, somebody can go and buy alcohol and drink and get drunk, even dies. Somebody can decide to invest it, maybe buy some few chicks, and after 2, 3, 5 months, a year, the story can be different. Right. So injecting this money into a parish, if our people get serious and know what to invest in, what can actually give them profit, after a period of 2, 3, 4 years, the story will be very different for the better. The reason why we are encouraging and mobilizing people to form a circle means credit and savings. Credit meaning you have a platform where you can access money to help you do what you want to do, but also you should save. And one message we give to our people is that we should learn a saving culture. A saving culture. At times we become wasteful, like our young people now listening to us. If a young person was given 50,000 shillings today, where would he or she take that 50,000? Many of them will buy MBs to be on social media. Maybe another one will buy some poultry, some chicks to rear. Maybe another one will buy fertilizer for his garden of tomatoes and so forth. Now, depending on where you take that little money you have got, it can define the fortunes ahead. Yeah. So what we are encouraging our people to do is that let's have that saving culture. Whatever little money we get, we weigh where to invest this money. It's one of the challenges that we do face in this country, that people don't have that saving culture, and we want to inculcate it among our young people through this PDM, that once government has brought this resource, please invest it wisely so it can have a multiplier effect. Right. And through that way, we should be able to improve the lives of our people. Yes.
And it's an issue, Honorable Majesty, that must be tackled, because we seem, especially amongst the younger generation, to have picked up this very bad habit of consumerism, where we seek instant gratification.
Failing to save.
Yeah, as opposed to thinking long term. When you hear Honorable Barimusi talk about this, we tend to think that 50,000 shillings is very little money. And yet, depending on what you do with it, you just mentioned the idea of coffee seedlings. If you are sitting somewhere in Kashari, in my village, and your father left, even if it's an acre of land, with 50,000 shillings, if you put your mind to it and get, that will be about 20 coffee plants.
Yes. I've given you the calculation, but
the 20 coffee plants in 4 or 5 years' time basically takes you out of poverty.
Takes you out of poverty. I want to give credit to my district woman member of parliament of Bushenyi, which is Annette Katusime. She came up with a program of boxes, looking at that concept of saving, a culture of saving. And it's 30 people. You come together on a weekly basis, just put in your 1,000 shillings.
1,000? Just
1,000. She gave some little support, maybe 200,000, 300,000. You go back 2-3 years later, guys are developing and they're getting big savings. It does work. And even the little piece of land, because that is the concept of the parish model, that if we do not change our mindset to say, I have only 4 acres, therefore I cannot go to do what somebody with 20 acres is doing. You keep 20 animals on only 2 acres, you will not manage. You start grazing from the neighbors, and each cow is giving you half a liter of milk. How will you make it? So we're saying, with the little you have, if you can agree to save something, right, you'll see it accumulate. Put it together with the other people. And then if you have only half an acre, you can make a difference. If you have only 4 acres, you can make a difference. That is through intensive farming. You can do it intensively. But the one with big chunks of land, big monies, that's extensive. They go to the banks, they get their loans, they do open grazing and so on. So I think you are emphasizing something which our young people need to take note of. It's not the amount of money that you have, it is your culture, your idea, right, what you form your mind to do. That even if I'm getting 10,000, let me take off 2,000. Look at these border associations. That's what they are doing. They say on a daily basis, each of you bring 2,000.
Because you have it.
Because you have it. Right. They are getting 20,000. They are getting 10,000. Now, if you think 2,000 is little, you just get the 2,000, multiply by 100 of them. And then do it per week, per month. Within 2-3 months, they buy another border and give it to one of them.
Actually, I can tell you, I've just done the math on my phone, Honorable Majezi. If you're collecting 2,000 from 100 people over a month, you already have 6 million shillings.
That's a border.
6
if
million
not 2.
Shillings.
That's a border, if not 2.
From 2,000 shillings. Yeah.
Now, if our women have done it, 30 of them come together in a village. They save, they lend each other, they monitor each other. Government is saying, what if we did this at a parish level?
Across the entire country.
Across the entire country, because there was that debate at the beginning. Should we pilot? Why don't you, Raphael, why are you talking of the entire country? Suppose it fails. Go to a few districts. Then the question was, whose life do you want to pilot with? And where do we start? Do we start with mine or we leave yours? What do you want us to do? So we
very powerful thinking, because you're talking about people's actual lives here.
You're not going to pilot with people's lives. It can be very, very disastrous, especially in politics.
Correct.
You take my village, you leave his. They see my village actually moving.
And then
wait a bit.
Yeah.
So as I said, yes, some parishes will drag behind a little because of leadership, because of disbelief. Right. Even as we speak now, you may find somebody saying, we are
used.
These are they are speaking.
But it's a good thing, isn't it? Because if the parishes are able to see others thriving and know that this thing works, it then puts them under pressure to say, hey, we need to wake up and actually do something about this ourselves.
So the test will be on the initial beneficiaries.
Right.
You'll be really the model. We want to test and see. Suppose we give you 1 million shillings and you have 2 acres of land. What does it mean to your family?
Right.
Number 1, food security. Part of the land should be used to grow something to feed the home. But number 2, we want to move you from simply working to feed to working to get some money.
And grow.
Grow, make a surplus, take to the market, make some money.
Right.
We shall also be talking about value addition, adding value to what you are producing, so that instead of selling maize seeds, you sell flour. But that's at another level. You first increase your production.
So already, as you can see, our time is almost up, and there's yet still so much to unpack, which is, I guess, the whole point of why we're having these discussions. And before I take a couple of questions that we're getting from Twitter for the both of you, I'll just ask to come to you, Honorable Barimusi, in terms of where now you become very important, because like Honorable Majez is saying, these are things that are mostly about mindset change more than anything else. My late father used to tell people, the men especially in my village, that they are not poor, it's their minds that were poor. It's something that he drummed into their heads until eventually he managed to get through to them, and they formed a dairy cooperative that eventually ended up thriving in a sense. How important does it become for, especially, my focus is especially on the people who are following us on this discussion today, on UBC and on Twitter, because they don't speak a lot of English. How important is it for them to understand the potential of the numbers that Honorable Majezi has just split for us, and why it's important for them to be able to go and then put any differences aside, going down to the smallest person and say, you know what, if we give this thing our support, it can actually catapult Uganda to another level in the next 4 or 5 years?
Yes, you know, many people would say, like we have said, that people lack capital. But the word capital comes from a Latin word, caput, which means the head. So when you say lack capital, you are as well saying I am lacking up here. So, and also the English say that having a plan without money to implement it is the same as having money without a plan. Okay. So this PDM challenges all of us, that wherever you sit, you should appreciate that you can do something to improve your life. Whether you are an old person, or more importantly, the young people out there, that yes, whether you are in Chisoro, or Yumbe, or Karamoja, in whatever situation you are in, you can do something to improve the situation. And what the government is doing is to provide that conducive environment to enable you push ahead. And this program is not partisan. It is not targeting those who support NRM or those who are in opposition. It is targeting all Ugandans. Because even when this is NRM government, we don't want anybody to remain poor in this country, including our young people, particularly those who are out of school. Right. There. So let's have that positive mind, that this program is intended to liberate us from poverty, because like we have been saying in this show, that we have Ugandans who just survive on what they grow in their gardens and they just consume it. Yeah. But if you say, give me 10,000, give me 5,000, maybe from 1st January to 31st and Feb and March, a person can't even have 10,000 in his or her pocket. Correct. I know that the people we are targeting, we are saying, no, God created this world and said we should subdue it, we should create dominion over it, so we should be able to enjoy the life that we have. And therefore, whether you have half an acre of land or only 1 acre, we are saying you can be helped, you can be supported to use whatever resource you have to get to a better situation. Right. And the government is there to help you. The experts should be able to help you to say, this kind of soil, this acre that you have in a particular area, if you invested in this kind of enterprise, after 6 months, after 1 year, you can get many more profits than if you do ABCD. So this parish development model, apart from the financial resources we are sending to the communities, but also has other elements of educating the people, sensitizing them, changing the mindset, and enabling them to be included in all these programs and moving together as a parish. Yeah. So that at the end of the day, we should see all our communities much better. And through this PDM, when you sit, you will be able to look at the other services. You say, maybe we have a major challenge of no roads where we can push our produce to reach the markets. Then the government will be there to help the roads. Maybe our problem is sickness, our health center needs. So apart from, or in addition to the financial resources, the communities now will be able to look at the other services, and then the government is there to make sure that all those bottlenecks, all those challenges are addressed. So, do not say this is NRM government, I don't believe in NRM. No, this is not a partisan.
At the end of the day, we all need to be able to thrive regardless of your political affiliation.
Whether you are NRM or opposition, you need your children to get food. You also need money. Whether you are which religion or which tribe, this program is targeting all the people, particularly those who are in the lower sections of the economic ladder, for them to get lifted up. And we have the resolve and determination as a government to do everything possible to lift the people out of poverty.
And we're depending on you to do that. And that's why we are saying that this is what makes us proud to be Ugandan. And that's why we're saying, I am Ugandan.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what my affiliations are from, whatever sphere. It's about the fact that I'm a Ugandan.
And you should walk with your head very high because you are Ugandan.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes. You've traveled a bit, so it's only when you travel quite a lot that you realize how special it is to be from this country. It's something that I keep telling people.
Absolutely.
So it's only when you go other places that you realize how special our little country actually is. Let me take some questions for the both of you before we wrap up. Some of them have been answered already, but just in case someone might have joined us a bit late, we'll just go through them very quickly for their benefit. This is from someone called Honeyman on Twitter. You're asking about how data collected will be kept, because that becomes an important thing. I think you mentioned the UBOS report and how important this can become in being able to actually gather information to help for the future. If you allow me, I'll go through all the questions and you can pick which ones you think you can be able to deal with. This one is coming in from you. Wetungu Richard is asking who are the target beneficiaries of PDM, and this has been taken care of, but we'll just go through that again just as a recap for you. How will the subsistence households be identified? And again, something that's been handled, but we'll just go through that again. This one is asking, won't PDM follow the same footsteps as Youth Livelihood, NADS, and OWC? Again, this was a very, very first thing we talked about when we started the chat. So I can assure you it's been dealt with, but we'll just touch on that just a little bit. There's an important question here, Honorable Majesi, about the process of circle formation at the parish and how that becomes an important thing, but also, is there an actual registration just for PDM, or does it have to be through SACCO? That, again, I know has been touched on, but it might be one to pick up on very importantly. And for again, you can ask all these questions on the Twitter handles, and we've got people at the ministries who will be able to dig in and respond to all of them, but we have websites that you can go to, and that's the importance of having Twitter available now, that you can be able to get answers just like that. You mentioned, I'll finish with this question, about the fact that we are premising this on the notion that 39% of those that are not in the formal market are the ones that we are looking at with this 100 million shillings per parish. What happens to those that might not necessarily be interested in the specific sectors that the government is targeting? And I think the question here is, in a sense, are we targeting very specific sectors for investment with PDM, or is it open to anyone who wants to do anything that they want to do? And finally, this person says, does PDM take into account the political happenings outside Uganda that can affect our national pass? Obviously, the war in Russia and Ukraine, we know, has had a huge impact on us with wheat and us having to eat cassava now because of that. So again, it's not something that you can look at in isolation. It does affect us, and so how does this affect the implementation of PDM? So I'll start with you, Honorable Majesi. You can pick up on the things that you might have heard, and then we'll finish with Honorable Barimunsi.
Thank you very much. Those are very good questions. The process of SACCO formation and the identification of the beneficiaries, and the 39% we're talking about. Who are the 39%? The 39% are households. We're targeting a household. The household is a homestead. Me, Majesi, and my wife and children, who are simply producing what they consume without a surplus to go to the market to earn some money. And the objective of the parish model is to transit this household so that they produce enough indeed for their food security and sustainability, but also so that, the lady or the man goes to the market, sells some products and gains some money. We're also looking at value addition in terms of if you've been selling, you've been selling maize, seeds, maybe you as an individual, as a group, you could transit to selling flour, because that becomes a product which fetches more money. How do we get them? Right now, our staff of UBOS and ICT are out collecting data at the household level. They're looking at who you are. They even take your pictures. They're looking at your homestead. They're looking at your incomes. They're looking at your economic activities. They're looking at the sanitation and all that. And they'll be able to say, within these parameters, Raphael Magezi, really in terms of his level of income and activities, this is where he is. But there is also community assessment. And the people know you. You cannot hide. They will tell you, no, this man, today he looks like this, but if you give him money, the likelihood is that he's going to marry another wife. Or this man is going to pay debts. So people know each other. That is a basic understanding under the parish model. Now, these are the targeted people. The data is collected by the parish chief, assisted by the village chairperson and so on, the VHTs, and they are there. They collect the data. We shall, at a future time, assist the parish chief to have a basic tablet. But now they may be using questionnaires and so on. But later we shall store them in our tablets, process the data, and send it upwards, and use it even at the parish to draw the parish development plan. Part of the profiling going on now in terms of data collection is to be able to tell a parish, do they have water? Do they have the roads? Do they have education? Is there a primary school in this parish? Do they have health units, and so on? So that, as Chris said, the parish model is more than just giving you the money. The parish model looks at the entire person. So we look at the nature of the roads, community access roads, that can be used to evacuate what you have produced under the parish model. We look at the level of education. We look at health services. We're looking at even your homestead. We want to improve our housing. We want to improve our sanitation and hygiene. So all these will come together. But the priority, the beginning is, how are you surviving? What are you earning? You, as Raphael Magezi. Right. I think for me, that is the key thing. How do you select this person? And as I explained earlier, it is the enterprise groups that sit together in the parish. These are the coffee farmers in the parish. They select their representatives to go to the meeting of circle leaders. They sit and select their leaders of the circle, and it's that group that will manage the fund. They appraise you. You apply to them, the circle. They appraise you, they vet you, they assess your activities and what you're going to do, the land and so on. They give you the money. They follow you to make sure that, one, you are using the money for what you asked, and two, you are able to pay back. Right. Yeah. So these questions of doubts, is it going to be like the other one, which I don't know what happened to the other ones, but it seems they have made an impact. Right. There is no program without a challenge. Even the parish model we prepared, there will be some challenges. I've already received reports, some CDOs out there, asking people to pay money for registration. For you to benefit under the parish model, you must first pay 40,000. We've given a caution to those CDOs, you will land in trouble. Yeah. The SACCO does not pay money for registration, because this is government to government. We're already paying that money. On their behalf? Yes, on their behalf. Right. The member who intends to apply to get some money does not have to pay subscription and membership fees. This is simply because you belong to an enterprise group which has selected its members on the circle, and thereafter you Majors can apply and you get some funds.
Right.
So it's good to say, yes, there may be some challenges, but let's start from a point of hope.
Yeah. There's never been anything without challenges. It's about how you. It's about how you deal with them.
Even drinking a bottle of water has challenges, man. Opening it is another challenge. But for you to start from that negativity,
you
will even fear to go there and apply.
And that's what we need to dispel, isn't it? The negativity is a bit too much.
It's not,
there's got to be a point where we start thinking about.
We've taken our time. We shall give you the documents. There is a policy framework. There is implementation guidelines. We have all these manuals. Our staff are there. We are training the CDOs, the commercial officers, the political leaders. The ministers yesterday agreed. We ministers, we are going to sensitize the people in the parish model. And we shall start with the district leaders, the LC5, the councillors, the LC3 chairpersons, the RDCs, so that we all give the same message. I really want the parish model to have the same message. The members of parliament are already in their constituencies today because they are on recess. So we shall go and work with them so that we all mobilize the people together. The data collection is important because there is also a catch. This thing of seeing you take money for government, then you disappear, no. We want your identification, we want your picture, we want your thumbprints, we want everything about you. We want to know if we cannot trace you, whom do we ask?
There has to be accountability.
This is not money for...
Yes, in terms of data and information, we are actually building a robust parish development management information system. And like the Honourable Minister has said, right now, data collection is going on. We are profiling the communities and households to know in a particular parish how many households are there, what is their standing economically, what are their sources and levels of income, how many young people are there, what are they doing, how many young people are in the border, how many are in agriculture, how many are running commercial shops and so forth, to get that information. And as you know, the parish chiefs are going to be very key in this program. And we have now recruited parish chiefs to cover all the parishes. And the qualification of a parish chief is minimum a diploma. So they are literate and able to do.
Even the one with the degree.
Even one with a degree, even a master's.
Just a minimum.
Just a minimum.
Even with a PhD, you can.
Absolutely. Right. And we are going to give them computer devices where they are going to be inputting data. We are also building what we call a digital dashboard, which is going to be placed here at the center, so that whatever is going to be done is fed into a computer system, and we are able in real time to see what is going on. We can click and say in parish X in this district, there are these many youth. So far of the many youth, these have received this. This number of youth are engaged in this kind of enterprise and so forth. So the monitoring and the reporting is going to be much more intense and much more vigorous than it has been in the past programs. And that also defines what is different between the previous programs and this one. This one is comprehensive. This one will ensure that everybody is included, particularly those in the subsistence livelihoods, and we want everybody involved. The difference is that, like we have said, the local people themselves are managing and running this program. The difference is that the program being managed by the local people, they know who is an honest beneficiary and who is not, because unlike in the past where the team would be at the district and you are vetting proposals which have come from the villages and you don't even know the applicants. But this time around you know. Even the person who was asking, how will you know somebody who is in subsistence? You will know. At a village level, you will know so and so's family is doing much more poorly than the other one. The other people have a vehicle.
And you know what activities they are engaged in. So it
the other family has the 5 graduates who are employed in the government, so they're able to maintain the family. This one, the family is not doing very bad, is not doing very well. Right. So at that level, you can tell. You can tell which family is not doing well and which one is doing much better. And therefore, the monitoring is going to be much more intense than in the past, to the extent that if some beneficiary is misusing or misapplying the resources he has been given, it will be detected early enough for remedial action to be taken.
Yeah.
So let's embrace this program. I am one of those who always believe in optimism. Yes, challenges are always there, but they can be surmounted, they can be addressed. Let's not start with that pessimistic picture that the program will fail. It is your optimism, it is your positive attitude, yours and I, that will make this program succeed.
Yeah.
And we have all the hopes and all the beliefs that we shall make it.
Let's start with the glass half full and try and fill it, instead of starting with the glass half empty and emptying it completely. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
because whichever direction you start from is where you're going. If you start half full, you're trying to fill. If you start half empty, you're trying to
fill. Because these initiatives have worked. People have risen from the base, from scratch, and put few resources together and worked very hard and prospered.
Right.
So if at an individual level people have prospered, how about if government is coming in to give you some push and create a favorable environment to enable you move? We can move.
Like you said, capital. Kaput.
Kaput.
One very last question for you, just before we go, and we do have to go because we've overshot our time. The rubber hits the road. Has the money been released? When does it start? When are we rolling out? When does this money get to the actual parishes?
The money is available. Government is prepared for the parish model. In the areas where we started in Bukedi, we were able to disburse funds to the circles which were prepared. And I've already sent the message. Don't wait for anything else. The money is with you. Start utilizing it. So right now, we have 17 million per circle, because that's what Parliament gave us.
In the whole country?
Yeah, in the whole country. Yeah, in the whole country. We have it, it's available, and the teams are on ground doing the data collection, doing the community mobilization, they are doing the formation of circles and so on. For any circle that is ready, the trigger is given and funds go to their account. By end of June, this should have been done. So I'm appealing to the leaders out there. Make sure that you don't lose out on this.
It's in their
the money
hands
is there, it is available.
Yeah.
Then after July, we shall be giving you 100 million shillings per parish for the year. Who can benefit or where can you apply it? Because I had that question coming, can I borrow it for anything I want? No. The other schemes continue, for example, Myoga. So if you are in the saloon, you can continue getting that fund and it will help you. You want to buy another border, then the money is there and all those schemes. Government has other facilities for the bigger farmers, agricultural credit facility. Right. You know, we have put money in UDB. But this parish development model is looking at, not Chris, because this one is not in subsistence. Maybe you look a little more in subsistence. So you in subsistence, you just
I might have borrowed it.
You want to put the money in activities that support your livelihood, but help you to also get into the money economy.
Right.
In agriculture especially, because more than 70% of our people are in that. But for the other activities, we continue. The Myoga will continue. The other facilities of government will continue.
Right. Honorable Majesi, Minister for Local Government, Honorable Barimunsi, Minister for ICT and National Guidance, I want to thank you so much for joining us for this street chat. I should mention also, actually, we've had not just these two, the entire team is here. Honorable Kabyanga, who is our Minister of State for National Guidance with us, Commissioner Watasa, Assistant Commissioner Chibedi, our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Zoeda has been with us as well. Dr. Sebugao Joyce, who many people will be very familiar with, is with us in the studio. And again, what's happening is that this entire team is making themselves available to make sure that they are able to answer any questions that anyone might have, because at the end of the day, I am Ugandan, I have a role, and the hashtag my role becomes very important, and what you do with that is up to you. I think I'll leave you with a very simple quote that I just shared now. as Ugandans, can we choose to see the glass as half full and fill it, as opposed to half empty and empty it? Which direction we choose to go in is up to us, as we have heard today, and that becomes an important thing. On behalf of the entire production crew here, I want to say a big thank you. Have a good afternoon. God bless you, and God bless Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chris.